This game surprised me. This is Midnight Walkers, and it has forever changed how I view games. That was better than like every Dark fight I've ever had.
That was fun.
So what exactly is Midnight Walkers? To put it in short terms, it's a class-based first-person extraction shooter game with heavy emphasis on melee combat. There are guns, there are bows, there are ranged options, but like the meat and potatoes of the combat is melee style. So keep that in mind. Think Left 4 Dead 2 meets Escape from Tarkov with some Fallout vibes and a gearing system similar to old Dark and Darker, meaning you have like stats and attributes on your gear and you want to build your character around these stats. There are currently 4 classes of Midnight Walkers currently, and let me give you a quick breakdown for each real quick. This isn't like a class guide or anything, but I just want to give you the overall theme of each class so you kind of know what to expect going in. The first class is the Assaulter. This is like your big beefcake frontliner who absorbs tons of damage and deals tons of damage in melee, but is very limited in its range capabilities. I think this class is probably the most new player-friendly class, so if you're just picking up the game for the first time, maybe start here and then like transition to other classes later. The second class on my list is the Trapper. The Trapper is true to its name in the fact that it uses explosive traps and bombs to slow down its opponents while picking them apart with its bow and arrow. This is the main range class in this game. They have access to guns, they could use the Mosin rifle, but we'll kind of leave that there for now. Here's a clip of me getting absolutely decimated by some of these traps. Just look crazy.
What the fuck?
Yeah, well, anyways. Next on this list is the Crow. The Crow, best to be compared to the Rogue archetype from many other games. They use close range weapons like daggers and swords, applying poison on hits. They have mobility skills like backstep and utility skills like smoke bomb. Their kind of role in the game is to do really high DPS to a single target, but they are also very squishy themselves, so they're much like kind of like the assassin class. So keep that in mind. All right, last on this list is my personal favorite class. It's called the Bartender. This is this game's take on what a spellcaster should be or is. It's hard to fit like your classic spellcaster mage warlock into a zombie game like this, but this is kind of how they do it. And the Bartender basically has an assortment of quote-unquote drinks, but they're basically spells that do a variety of things. They could heal, they could buff, they could deal damage. This is the class I like to play the most. It's very fun. It's not for everybody. A lot of people say it's kind of clunky and hard to play, but I think it's very rewarding and interesting, so it's my go-to pick. If you're like a spellcaster player in a lot of other games, maybe try Bartender out, but just know that there's a bit of a learning curve. I'm actually playing Bartender in this clip as we speak, so I'll just kind of let the fight play out. Through the door.
Trying to heal up still.
No. Explode him.
Hit him in the head with 2 throwing knives. I double throwing knife the ranger in the head.
I'm following.
I caught the rogue.
Nice.
I'm on the rogue heavy. Rogue is fucked up.
I'm on the front.
I charge that guy. I need out here. I'm low.
I'm gonna slow here if they push. They have a trap somewhere.
It's on. I think it's on the door. I have my savage roar again. And
I'm
pushing
coming
out
out
of
of
this.
I used
Sorry.
all my meds.
So I'm gonna splash you with this.
I'm on him down here.
Coming.
I use my savage roar. The board wants me now.
Give her slow here. Want to try pressure with their last HP? As it slow the barb.
Yeah.
Gonna have a damage spell. We're dead, we're dead.
I'm dead, I'm dead. Barb should be weak.
You're low hurt.
Hit him again, I'm dead. Huh.
I think they're weak. He's one. He's probably weak as well. Yeah, they're so weak. Is that another heal? He's trying to loot heals, I think. He got hit by his own trap, I think.
Oh my god, the fucking zombie grab, bro.
Not the mob.
Holy shit, that was a fight though. That was a fucking
That
fight.
was a fun fight.
One thing Midnight Walkers does better than any other game in the extraction genre, in my opinion, is the extraction mechanic itself. I know it sounds a little silly, but just hear me out. It's nothing overly complex, but let me explain just how it works for people that don't know. This is an extraction pod. These are distributed around the map. You have to find them. It takes a few seconds to open it up, and then you take it and you leave. Pretty simple. These spawn randomly, but the spawn locations themselves aren't random. They're actually static locations that you can see in your minimap, but it's random if they're activated or not, based on some kind of time frame. If you're having trouble finding an escape pod, you just have to take out your Game Boy. Well, I don't know what it's called. I'm going to call it a Game Boy because it looks like a Game Boy to me. And basically it's a radar device that will kind of beep and tell you where the nearest escape pod is. I'm actually kind of sad because I don't actually have footage for what I'm about to explain. But there's another feature to these escape pods that you might not know. If you look right of the wheel here, you see that green screen. You could take your Game Boy device, and instead of opening the pod, you could save the key, extract it from the pod, and then use it at any inactive pod location on the map whenever you feel like. I know I'm making like a big deal about this escape pod system, but it's truly beautiful if you think about it, right? Since the locations themselves are static, but the time frame on which they open is not, you eliminate a huge portion of the extract camping that might happen. Think Dark and Darker, think Escape from Tarkov, where extraction locations are 100% static. You run into campers all the time, and that's not fun. Since opening an extraction pod takes like 5 to 10 seconds, you don't have to worry about people just running away from you and then just taking a portal instantly, avoiding a fight. That's another frustrating thing, especially in Dark and Darker, that they kind of solved here. Since you have the Game Boy radar device, you never have to worry about not finding a portal. Even though they are random and randomly spawned, you will always have an avenue to find one, so that's good. And since you could actually take the portal key with you and take it to another pod whenever you want, you don't feel like you're locked into an area once you find a pod. You can just grab the key and continue on your adventure, and you know that you can always use another pod at any moment. And that feels really good. So in my opinion, this might just be the best extraction system in any game because it solves almost every problem these games have had. And I'm not sure if they did it on purpose, if they did it on accident, but whatever they did, it just seems really good. I'm a bit of a nerd, so let me give you some Ken lore real quick, okay? I have forged Ragnaros' heart in the great anvil of Blackrock. I have spent countless hours playing Blood Gulch with the boys in Halo. I used to competitively speedrun Rainbow Road on Mario Kart 64. So when I say these next words, do not take them lightly. The Midnight Walkers team may have made the best map I've ever played. At least for an extraction game, but the map is really good, and let me explain why. First things first, vibe check.
Pretty sure I've weakened this map pretty fucking well.
The vibe is very Fallout, New Vegas, Cyberpunk meets Mad Max in a zombie setting. So for me, 10 out of 10. Let's get a little serious here. No more messing around, okay? We're taking out the MS Paint. This is the Liberty Grand Center. This is the name of the map that is in Midnight Walkers. And let me just kind of explain to you why functionally I think it's really good. So first thing first, let me just show you that the map is actually cut into 2 maps. So you have map 1 and map 2. You have floors 7 through 1 and floors 8 through 15. And they're 2 separate maps, but they're all kind of part of the same ecosystem. They all kind of have the same vibe. And they have the similar layout where the floors 1 through 8, but the floor plans are a little bit different. But the regional materials and stuff are very similar. And that's kind of why I think this map is really good. I mentioned regional materials, and what I mean by that is, so let me explain. So let's say every floor has a material or some kind of item that is unique to the floor, and that gives you reason to go to that floor. So like the hospital, right? The hospital will have, medicine and medical materials and crafting materials for meds, and that's why you want to go to the hospital floor. And the pub would have drinks and high-end gear, and there's a boss up here that you would like to go to. You could go to floor 10, which is the construction site, where you can get wood and scrap metal. They have a recycling machine. If you need money, you can go to the casino floor, right? If you need metal and leather materials, you can go to the gym floor. Point being is that every floor in this game has something worth going to it for, depending on what your goals are in game. And what that leads to is that when you load into the game, you always have a goal in mind or a direction to go. Like say me, Harry, and Solar, my friends, we all log in. We're like, oh, we need to farm some leather because we're trying to craft this specific piece of armor. We're going to go to the fitness center and farm leather, right? Or we load in and we need, like, oh, dude, we're low on meds. We are tapped out on meds. We really need some medical supplies. We're going down to the hospital floor. And the idea is that other teams are thinking the same way. So say 2 teams are both loading, like, man, we need medical supplies. Let's go to the hospital floor. Next thing you know, we're fighting a team over the supplies that we want to have, and that's a great system, and I just love it so much. And here's another reason why the map is good. So we played Dark and Darker before. We played BRs, right, where you have the circle, and it slowly gets smaller and smaller, and it kind of forces you into the end game of the map, and that works for what it is, for what a BR is. But Midnight Walkers kind of did something different. They found the same end game, but with a different way of getting there. Instead of having the circle, every few minutes you'll get a warning. It'll say, floor 7 office is closing in 60 seconds. And then after 60 seconds, this entire office floor gets gassed. You start taking damage. But it warned you, so you have 60 seconds to find an elevator or a staircase to go down to the next floor, or whatever floor you want to go to. And then a few minutes later, it'll be like, the broadcast studio is gonna get gassed in 60 seconds. And then after that, boom, gone, gassed. Then hopefully, you have time to find an elevator or a staircase to go down to another floor. And then again, boom, 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 you get the point. Eventually, you get down to the last one floor, and then you have to find an extractor, fight people over the extract, etc., etc. And it's a very creative take on the original Battle Royale circle system that I really like, because it fits the vibe. It does the same thing that a BR circle does, but without like taking you out of the immersion of like a zombie survival game. It fits the theme perfectly, and it's a really smart way to kind of have a funnel mechanic in your game. And I think they kind of nailed this. Oh, but Ken, what if I'm on a floor that's getting shut down? What do I... Glad you asked. If you're on a floor that is being shut down, you have 4 options basically. You can go to the main elevator, which you see on the map here is right in the center. There's 3 elevator pods you could use, all in the center of the map. On the top right of that, there's a secondary elevator that you could use. On the middle left side of the map, you have your main staircase. This goes completely up and down the entirety of the skyscraper. And there's a lot of PvP happens here, so keep that in mind. There's also a recycler here, and we'll talk about that more later. And on the bottom right of the map, you have your secondary staircase, which is just another staircase, but it's a little less of a hot spot, so keep that in mind. I think the design is really good. There's enough ways to go up and down the map. to the point where nobody's really camping these areas because there's a nice variety of them, but there is still only a few of them, so fights do still happen here naturally. And it's a really nice system. Wait, is this a clip where I duck on John and Bunny? Oh shit, roll the clip. Hold that, John. What are we talking about? No, oh yeah, maps and staircases and stuff. Yeah, so these elevators and staircase locations are static, and they're the same on every floor, as you can see here. And no matter what floor you're on, what layout you're on, these staircases and elevators will be in the same spot. So once you learn them once, you'll get a good feel for it, and you'll be good to go on every map. I did mention a recycler earlier, and this is basically what the recycler is, what it looks like. You can find these on the main staircase, on either of the 2 construction floors, or in the B1 basement level. There might be more. I'm kind of going off memory here, but these are the ones that I remember. The recycler in this game is pretty much just like in Rust, if you're familiar with Rust. If you're not familiar with Rust, basically you can just bring almost any item in the game. It could be gear, weapons, salvageable, trash, and just recycle it into crafting materials that you can then use at the workbench to craft items. So I mentioned that Midnight Walkers changed how I view games earlier in this video, and let me explain a little bit what I mean by that. My first exposure to this game was watching my friend Mezzology stream. He was one of the earliest adopters of this game, playing the first 2 playtests. He kept mentioning to me that I should give it a try. I saw his streams and I saw his gameplay, and I'll be honest, I wasn't exactly impressed. I thought the game looked very bad and clunky from the outside looking in, but eventually I caved to download the game, with the expectation to play it for an hour or 2 and just to talk shit about the game and kind of be an asshole, I'll be honest. That stream lasted 18 hours. My next stream lasted 20 hours. The stream after that was only a humble 16 hours. But then my final stream of the playtest was a 27-hour long stream. I ended up grinding to rank 1 on the leaderboards, and I was fully addicted to the game. So when I say Midnight Walkers changed how I view games, what I mean by that is I would no longer judge games based on my first visual observation, and I will withhold any strong opinions until I know enough about the game to have one. Basically, just, don't judge a book by its cover, or your mama should have taught you. But yeah, anyway, till next time.